fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see, whoa, it's taking over, damn, no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over all their shoulders, like moving boulders just to get out of the home. It sucks, I've had enough, I don't wanna feel the stuck under the rug, all my problems that I shove.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Welcome, everyone, to my experience with the phenomena. I am your host, Mr. Rob G. As we go ahead and dive into your experiences, right? That's what this show is all about. It's about hearing from you, the experiencer, and I definitely want to make sure that we put on a great show for you today. We have Legend of Bigfoot. So we have an experiencer, Jim White. You may know him from a previous episode that we did with the After Hours from the Santee Dakota Nation. And he's going to come on today and talk about his experience with the phenomena, which would be Bigfoot in this instant. We're going to go over some information regarding Bigfoot, the legend, the lore of Bigfoot. Some people think it's real. Some people think it's not real. Some people think it's something that lives here. Some people think it's something that's interdimensional. There's a long list of, the thought process on Bigfoot and what it may mean or not mean to certain people out there. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this here. So go ahead and get things going. Let me go ahead and take a look at the chat. I know we had somebody come in there. Queen Peachy King D. Appreciate you coming on in and enjoying the show today here at My Experience with the Phenomena. We have a few things that I want to go over before we jump into the show. I do want to go ahead and bring up some things here. Obviously, this is the show, and this is the call-in number. So at any time, you could call this number, which is 856-843-3444, or that's 856 the DIGG. This line is open 24/7. You could drop a message. You could talk about your experience. You could let me know about, an experience you had and the fact that you may want to appear on My Experience with the Phenomenon, because this show is powered by you and your experiences. So it's definitely important that you guys are the ones that are reaching out to go ahead and stand on the stage like Jim is going to do today and speak about your experience with the phenomena. As well, we have other things going on here at the Social Dig. If you were here last week, then we have memberships available. Become a social soldier today. We definitely have a few members already. We have Maggie M10, we have D Nunley, and we have the Beekeeper. These are our newest members. So welcome and congratulations. Appreciate you supporting the show as a member. Like I said, memberships are not things that are required on this channel. Everything will be free, as I previously said, all content, no paywalls for content. But being a member definitely helps this channel develop and go down a path, hopefully, of being one of the biggest channels out here on YouTube that discuss the phenomenon and actually move the needle forward, as we talk about on this channel all the time, because we do this show and other shows on this channel for the positive progression of humanity, meaning the conversations we have to educate and kind of, jog your brain and kind of get the conversation to move us forward as a unit as we figure out this phenomenon. No one knows what it is. So I think that's the beauty of being able to go down this path and see exactly what it is that we uncover. And part of that is hearing from experiences like yourself, like we're going to hear from Jim White today. So it's going to be awesome. We had Drew Banky last week talking about spirit horses. Prior to that, we had Aloha Dave coming on talking about premonitions and deja vu. And in the first episode of this show, we had my experience with the phenomena, which covers UFOs, orbs in the sky, phantom knocking, which is strange if on the face of it, right? Things walking on the roof and all sorts of other things. So it should be awesome. Can't wait till we go ahead and jump into conversation today. But we also have other things as well. So we just got, well, it's been up for a while, but it's now available on the channel, which is the social shop. So we got social swag. We got social swag out there. And, this is another way to help support the channel because there's things, right? There's production costs, there's subscription services and things that we have to make these shows go and to be able to put these shows on. So any support in any area is awesome and appreciated. But we got these nice hoodies though, like I said, on the social shop, along with a lot of other gear. I'm adding things daily, and I have a humanity shirt that I'm working on right now that I'm going to go ahead and end up putting in the social shop as well. But just to kind of take a look here, let me bring this up for everyone to see. Look at that hoodie. Has my experience with the phenomena on the front, and then the social DIGG logo on the back. And that's pretty affordable price when you think about hoodies, right? So we do have these in the social shop. You should see these at the foot of the YouTube page, or if you go ahead and click the shop or shopping tab on the page, then you should be directed into this store. We have a few things there, and we are adding things as we speak. So it'd be awesome to see everybody go in there and show your love, show your support. And if you get one of these things, definitely take a photo in it and send it on in so we can go ahead and show it on the show. I will be having the members board up here because obviously membership is fully appreciated when helping out the channel. So I want to make sure the members get listed as well and get recognition on each and every show. Because like I said, this is ground level what we're doing here. And where we plan to go, that's what I mean. Once we have some sort of, team that we can put together, editing, all those sorts of things, this channel is going to do some crazy things once that happens. So any and all support is welcome and appreciated. But we're going to go ahead and get into the show here. Also, super chats are open on the channel. So if you find it within your heart to support the show, you can definitely do that by super chat. Super thanks, even if you're watching this video sometime later down the line. Those are available as well. And we also have the Cash App as well for those who just say, you know what, YouTube's going to take X amount of money. Let me go ahead and just send this directly. All that is listed in the ticker at the bottom of the screen. You can get that information there. So with that being said, I definitely want to go ahead and get into the show tonight. We have Sasquatch, Bigfoot, right? One and the same thing. And, I have a lot of people that I've talked to in this field who have had experiences with Bigfoot. I have not yet. Is it something that I want to do? I don't know. You know what I mean? I hear a lot of people that say Bigfoot is a love and light sort of being that he kind of just wants to look out for us and not really interact with us. But then I've heard interactions that have been just pleasantly nice, and I just don't know how to feel about that, because I would say if I'm in the presence of something that could be anywhere from 7 to 10, 11, 12 feet, I've heard in some cases, 800 pounds, something along those lines. I don't know that being in the presence of one is going to be something that I would be looking forward to. However, I am open to experiences, more experiences with the phenomena outside of the ones that I've had. So with that being said, we're going to kind of go ahead and get into this. We're going to start this off just kind of talking about cryptids. The first part of the show is always informational. So we're going to go into some information about forest cryptids in particular, and just kind of the lore behind that. And then also a segment on Bigfoot. And then we will bring in our experiencer who has some background. And like I said, if you remember Jim White from the previous show, he's from the Santee Dakota Nation. And, within the native folklore, And stories that have been told, Sasquatch is one that's been there for a long time, one forever. So it'll be good to hear from Jim White some stories on this, and maybe even some anecdotes along those lines. So we'll see what happens here. But I do want to go ahead and jump into our show here. So here we go. All right. So I'm testing out this music here. We're going to be using for the informational portion of the show. I want to make sure the levels are good. Okay, and here we go. So, forest cryptids. Let's kind of start there, right? The vast and untamed forests of the world have long been a source of fascination and fear for humanity. These dark, dense landscapes, where the canopy obscures the sky and the underbrush seems impenetrable, has given rise to countless stories of strange creatures lurking just beyond the limits of human settlement. Among the most intriguing of these tales are those of cryptids, mysterious and often mythical animals whose existence remains unproven to most. The forest has become a natural home for these elusive beings, offering them a realm where they can evade discovery and where the boundaries between myth and reality blur. From Bigfoot to Chupacabra to lesser-known creatures like the Mokele Membe, the cryptid world is in the forest represents humanity's curiosity about the unknown and the mysteries that the wild still holds, right? So for a lot of people out there on the outside of being an experiencer, someone who's experienced this, you know, it could be looked at as stories. It could be looked at as campfire talk, campfire conversation, right? But I've talked to people and I've looked them dead in their eyes and just had an overwhelming feeling that what they were saying as far as experiences go have been, from what I felt, just feeling might be something that we have to look at. So second, the forest dense cover offers excellent concealment for large and small creatures alike. The thick vegetation, the darkness beneath the canopy, and constant movement of flora and fauna make it difficult for even trained observers to spot unusual creatures. In these conditions, it is easy to imagine how something like a cryptid could remain hidden for centuries, known only through the fleeting glimpses or distorted calls heard in the night. Finally, forests are ecosystems rich in biodiversity, often home to species that are poorly understood or only recently discovered. In these complex environments, the existence of an undiscovered creature doesn't seem far-fetched. From jaguars prowling through the Amazon to elusive species like the okapi that were once thought to be myths, the forest has been the setting for many real-life discoveries that echo the excitement of cryptid hunts. Among the many cryptids said to inhabit forests around the world, a few have gained particularly notoriety due to repeated sightings and cultural fascination. These cryptids have left a mark on the imagination of those who explore or live near forested areas. Forests have long been places of mystery and fear, where the line between the natural and supernatural is blurred. Stories of cryptids tap into this primal fear of what lies in the darkness, of being watched by someone that remains hidden. In many ways, cryptid sightings are modern versions of ancient myths. Whether a cryptid is seen as a guardian of the forest, a dangerous predator, or a symbol of nature's untamed power, these creatures allow us to explore our relationship with the wilderness on both the physical and psychological level. Now, while cryptid lore thrives on the unknown, the scientific community remains skeptical of claims regarding their evidence. Cryptids, by their very nature, lack the kind of evidence required for scientific validation. Photographs, videos, and footprints are often inconclusive or debunked as hoaxes. However, the lack of definitive proof has done little to deter experiencers who argue that the vast, unexplored forest can easily conceal creatures unknown to science. There are historical precedents that lend some credibility to the idea that cryptids could exist in remote areas. For centuries, the okapi, a giraffe-like animal found in the forest of Central Africa, was considered a cryptid by Westerners. Its existence doubted until it was officially documented in the 20th century. Similarly, the coelacanth, A prehistoric fish thought to have gone extinct millions of years ago was discovered alive in 1938 off the coast of South Africa. These examples fuel the belief that the forest may still hold undiscovered creatures waiting to be found by the right explorer. Cryptids may or may not exist in the form described by folklore, but the possibility of discovery keeps the search alive, drawing enthusiasts and researchers alike into the forest depths. So kind of just going over that, just an overview, just showing that, there's a lot that we don't know about the planet that we live on, that we walk on every single day. I think I've said this before. 70% of this planet is water, 30% is land. In water, we have unexplored like 94% of the total ocean. We've only explored maybe 5% roughly. Then on land, we've explored maybe, I think it's around 85 to 90% of land, but still leaves about 10 to 15% of land unexplored. So when you put that all together, the planet in total, land and sea, it's about 65% unexplored, which is mind blowing because we live on this planet every day. And then you have people that say, for sure, things can or cannot exist, when it's proof that we discover things new all the time. So leading into Bigfoot, that could be a reason, or it could be an example, right, of something that has just not been cataloged yet, and something that is out there, because there's too many people that I've talked to that appear very credible in their stories to say that this thing doesn't exist. So getting into the lore of Bigfoot encounters. For centuries, people have been captivated by the tales of mysterious creatures that lurk in the wild, with one of the most enduring being the legend of Bigfoot, known by many names: Sasquatch, Yeti, Skunk Ape. Bigfoot has become a symbol of the unknown, a creature that represents the mysteries that still remain in a world mapped by satellites and GPS. The fascination with Bigfoot encounters transcends generations, drawing adventurers, scientists, and ordinary people in the quest to either prove or debunk its existence. What is it about Bigfoot that makes it so compelling? The lore of Bigfoot encounters lies in the blend of myth, mystery, and the human desire for discovery, rooted in both fear and fascination with the unknown. The legend of Bigfoot is not a modern creation despite its popularization in the 20th century. Native American tribes across North America have long told stories of giant, human-like creatures that roam the forest. In the Pacific Northwest, indigenous peoples such as the Salish and the Lumi have oral traditions that speak of Mwekes. So I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Mwekes, maybe? A creature resembling modern descriptions of Bigfoot. These early legends describe a creature with immense strength and stealth, capable of surviving in the deep wilderness undetected by most humans. The contemporary Bigfoot legend gained momentum in the late 1950s when large human-like footprints were discovered in Bluff Creek, California. The term Bigfoot was coined by the media, and the creature quickly became a cultural phenomenon. The iconic Patterson-Gimlin film, shot in 1967, which allegedly shows a large, hairy creature walking through the woods, remains one of the most debated pieces of footage to this day. At the heart of the Bigfoot legend is the allure of the unknown. In an age where science has explained many of the world's mysteries, the possibility that a large, undiscovered species could still roam the earth is tantalizing. Bigfoot symbolizes the idea that not everything has been found, categorized, or understood. Encounters with Bigfoot offer a glimpse into a world where mystery still exists, where the boundaries between myth and reality blur. People are drawn to these encounters because they provide a sense of wonder and possibility. In a time when our lives are governed by technology and information, the idea that something as significant as Bigfoot could still elude us offers a thrilling contrast. It suggests that the world is bigger, stranger, and more complex than we imagine, and that there are still secrets waiting to be uncovered. Many people who claim they have encountered Bigfoot describe their experiences in deeply personal terms. These sightings often occur in remote, wild, deep forests, mountains, or swamps where people feel isolated from the comforts and certainties of civilization. In these moments of solitude, the mind is open to possibilities that might otherwise seem far-fetched. A rustling in the trees, an unfamiliar howl, or a fleeting shadow can trigger the belief that something extraordinary is nearby. Bigfoot sightings are often characterized as feelings of awe, fear, or even spiritual significance. Some witnesses describe their encounters as transformative, an experience that changes how they view the natural world. Whether or not the creature is real, these experiences are real to those who have them, and they speak to the powerful psychological and emotional impact that Bigfoot encounters can have. The continued belief in Bigfoot is fueled by the creature's ability to remain elusive. Bigfoot has never been definitively proven or disproven, allowing the mystery to persist. This ambiguity creates a space where people can project their own hopes, fears, and beliefs onto the creature. Skeptics argue that Bigfoot is simply a product of the human imagination, a combination of misidentifications, hoaxes, and wishful thinking. However, believers and experiencers see the lack of concrete evidence as proof of Bigfoot's intelligence and ability to avoid detection. The lack of resolution is part of the allure. Bigfoot's existence remains open to interpretation, allowing people to keep the legend alive in their own ways. The fascination with Bigfoot has given rise to a vibrant subculture of researchers, enthusiasts, and Sasquatch hunters who dedicate themselves to finding evidence of the creature. This community spans the globe, with regional variations of the Bigfoot legend appearing in different cultures, such as the Yowie in Australia and the Yeti in the Himalayas. For many, the search of Bigfoot is not just about proving the creature's existence, but about being part of a larger collective quest. Bigfoot enthusiasts form a tight-knit community united by their shared interests in the creature and the possibility that it might one day be found. On a symbolic level, though, Bigfoot represents the wild, untamed aspects of nature that remain beyond human control. As humanity increasingly encroaches on the natural world, the idea of a large, intelligent creature that has managed to evade detection serves as a reminder of nature's resilience and mystery. Bigfoot is a stand-in for the parts of the world that we cannot conquer or fully understand, a symbol of both the wilderness and our relationship to it. In this way, Bigfoot is not just a cryptid, but a cultural symbol that embodies the tension between civilization and the natural world. The creature's elusiveness and connection to remote wilderness areas tap into primal fears and fascinations about what lies beyond the edges of human settlement. The lore of Bigfoot encounters is more than just the creature itself. It's about the broader human experience of mystery, exploration, and the unknown. In a world where science and technology has solved so many of life's puzzles, Bigfoot offers a reminder that there are still frontiers left to explore. So I think that kind of encompasses, everything that we know and we feel about Bigfoot. This is something that a lot of people say is out there. A lot of people have said that they've seen this thing. Some people say they see it repeatedly. And some people have different feelings about Bigfoot. Like I said in the beginning, if I'm in the vicinity of a Bigfoot, because I plan to go out to see for myself if this thing is real. I've talked to a few people who are Bigfoot researchers or Bigfoot enthusiasts, and we've agreed to set something up where I can go out and, maybe have an experience for myself. Now, I'll be in the back, like I've said many times before. I won't be up in the front, so I'll let the researchers take the front. I'll be in the back, but I definitely just want to be able to check that one off the list and say, I've experienced that, and be able to bring it to the public like, hey, this is a real thing. So until then, I can just go with the stories of experiencers like the person we're going to have on tonight, who is Jim White, the Santee Dakota Nation. So totally interested in hearing about his stories as we go ahead and get ready to bring Jim in tonight. And we got him on camera tonight, which is awesome. Jim, how are you?
Hey, I'm good.
All right. So I've been talking about Bigfoot and Sasquatch here and kind of the lore behind it, the folklore. And I know you have some stories about some encounters. Now, what would be, before you start your stories, what would be one of the things that you would say to maybe a skeptic out there or someone who feels like that it's not possible that Bigfoot could exist? Like, what would, just a few words to kind of, what would you say to that?
I would probably say you just got to come and see for yourself to make that decision, you know.
And do you think that Bigfoot, because I've heard certain times that people will say that, you know, you may go out there and Bigfoot may not show himself to a particular person, but may show himself to the other person. Is that something you've experienced? Is there some sort of, you know, attitude that you need to bring in if you're going to go ahead and try to have one of these experiences?
Well, I believe so. If you're out looking for them, I believe that you have to have a non-threatening attitude, and that you're going at it as a, you know, like a learning thing.
Okay. Okay.
And
I've heard that as well.
What I would say.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. I've heard intent being one of the things, and kind of just being open to the possibility, because naturally, if you try to take a skeptic into the woods to have an experience, they're going to have this in the back of their mind that this is something that can't be true or can't happen. Therefore, their experience might turn out to be, you know, a nothing burger, essentially, where they may not have an experience. Whereas someone who is open in thought coming into the situation may actually have more of a chance of seeing something. So that's kind of what I heard. So I just wanted to lay that out for the audience, for anybody who may be intrigued on how they themselves might be able to have an encounter. Because I know I've been in the woods a million times, but I've never seen anything. But then I didn't go into the woods, for one, looking for anything, and then also I didn't go into the woods with a belief or understanding that there's things out there that are outside of what we normally know, like a bear or a mountain lion or something like that. So that could explain the reason why I didn't have any encounters. But with that being said, the interesting part of this is kind of getting into some of your experiences with Bigfoot. Like, how far does this go back, and kind of, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and giving us an encounter, a story about an encounter that you've had.
Okay, well, Rob, I'm going to talk about what happened 7 years ago. It was about this time, early fall, and we were out cutting firewood, me and three other guys, Doug and JR, and we were cutting firewood for the elders. We worked for the tribe at that time, kind of like a part-time job, you know. And so we went to this place where I know there was a lot of dead red elm, which is good firewood to burn. And so we got there, you know, after 8 in the morning, 8:15, 8:20, somewhere around there. And each one of us got our chainsaws ready, gassed up and oiled up. And we went up to 3 different draws to cut this wood that's already fallen down, but we wanted to cut it up so we can haul it and take it to the elders. Well, I started cutting, and then all of a sudden I felt like something really staring at me. And I thought it was Doug or JR, and I was looking over at them, and they were busy cutting. And So I started to cut a little bit, and I could still feel it. And so I started looking around me, and then on top of the hill there, well, because I was towards the top of the hill, there was this probably 20-foot cedar tree. And when I really looked at that cedar tree, I could see it behind that tree. And it was huge. It was like 8 to 9 foot tall, very big, massive. But it looked like the monster on Predator.
Mm.
You could see through it. It was like shimmery, shimmery, you know.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, it just scared the heck out of me. It just really scared me because I wasn't expecting nothing like that. And I was never that close to something like that, you know?
Yeah. So what
So
do you think?
go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you what is it within your tribe? What does Bigfoot mean? Like, if you're to see one, is there any meaning behind that, or what are the stories about Bigfoot? Like,
Well, you know, like my grandpa would always say, you know, just leave them alone. Don't bother them, you know? And we kind of accept them as they're a people, you know, and they're tribes, you know, and they just live wherever they live, you know, whatever they feel comfortable with, I guess, or where they feel comfortable. But like Grandpa would always say, just, you know, don't bother them. You know, if they're not bothering you, don't bother them. And well, this particular case, I mean, why was it there? Why was it looking at me? You know?
yeah.
And this is what I had to learn during the years as I was going on through ceremonies. But anyway, just to finish up on that, what happened, that experience, I pretty much kind of like ran down to the pickup, threw my chainsaw on back, and yelled at those other guys, you know, let's get out of here, you know?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we just got here. I said, well, you can stay here, but I'm gone. But they jumped in and we left. But, you know, over the years, you know, I've been doing ceremonies for, you know, way over half my life now. And how I can tell he's around is I got that feeling. I got that instinctual feeling. And anyway, it started coming closer and closer to me, to my place. And but every time it was like when we were having a sweat lodge. You know, I
Okay.
could see something in the distance, and then as time went on, it got closer and it got closer, and finally it got up to my Sundance tree where I had my Sundance right there in my place, and it was like trying to hide behind the tree, you know, and it could manipulate its form too, you know, and finally what it turned into was a orange orb, you know. And so this
So
took years, you know, it just didn't happen at once. It took years to get to this point.
so what do you think the
And
significance? What is the significance of Bigfoot? I know I heard you say that it's basically another type of person. Is that the actual general outlook? Is it just looked at as just another form of human being within the tribes, or is there some sort of spiritual meaning behind a person that might encounter one? Like, is there any message that goes along with that, or?
well, I think now nowadays because a lot of the tribal members are getting more spiritually aware because they're going back to ceremonies, which is good. And I think a lot of them, they don't really know for sure, how to take it. But from my standpoint, I take it as, hey, it's a spirit. And now it's a helper. It's a helper. And it comes into my ceremonies, either into the Sweat Lodge or the UEP ceremony.
Okay.
And it comes for the prayers, the songs. And then we always make offerings like tobacco ties and flags and offer food and water. And, basically we pray and to it to help us, especially our elderly and our children and our sickly. We ask it to help them, and it usually does spiritually, believe it or not. It usually does.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah,
go ahead, finish up. I know we have a delay, so go ahead, finish up.
No, I said I take it from that point that it's a helper, it's a spiritual helper.
Okay.
And it helps in the ceremony.
So with that being said, does that change the outlook of like future encounters? So say you go out and you see one tomorrow, does that new mindset, allow you to go into that interaction without fear then, I guess?
Well, yes, I would, because I would go in at a prayerful manner. But at the same time, it's so massive. Of course, you're gonna be startled a little bit. You're gonna have a little fear of it. But I got the background now. I know what it is and know what it wants and what it does.
Yeah. And here's one thing I always think about, and this even includes myself. It's like, of course, I haven't had any, experiences. I've been out in the woods, but my mindset while there, it's not like I'm always in the woods. I've been there during different camping trips. But, and I can say technically that because I wasn't looking for anything like that, it's possible something could have been present. It's possible I just wasn't looking, right? So, with that being said, and kind of understanding that these things are out there now, I'm kind of more mindful. I haven't been in the woods actually at all since I've came, into this new situation where I'm talking to people who have experienced Sasquatch. And, I'm just wondering that now if I go into the woods, since this is the case, will I now start to experience things? Because if it's there, I would like to see it just for my own mind to confirm that it's there. But like I say, when I hear stories and then, I look people in their face when they're telling these stories, you get a feeling of, okay, this person truthfully believes exactly what they're saying, which for me, kind of would lean into the fact that this thing is real. But having that positive outlook on it, where it's a helper and, maybe there to guide you in some sort of way, might be able to help with the shock that you have if you were to come across one of these things. But with that being said, I know you had some other stories. What other encounters have you had with Sasquatch over the years?
Well, I'm going to tell you about my ceremonial encounters I had with them in ceremony.
Okay.
In one ceremony, it was during our Sundance purification time, and we had a UEP ceremony where they tied me up, UEP style. Yes. And so there was two, and a part of my Sundance family, there was two sides not getting along, and they were in the ceremony house with us, and the ceremony began, and they turned off the lights. They started singing, and this big giant hand picked me up as I was tied up, and it lifted me up into the like the rafters, because I kind of got an open ceiling,
Mm-hmm.
and it told me that if they don't stop being mad, that I can get hurt really bad. And so it told me to tell them. So as I was tied up, I was talking to the blanket, telling them, you guys need to get along, otherwise you're gonna get me hurt. And so their attitude changed, where you could feel it, and then it left me down. It let me down, and then it went right to the floor of the ceremony house and disappeared.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff that happens here, when we have our ceremonies, and it's real. It's real. I don't know what else more to make you believe or not believe, but to me, it's real.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, that it's in that, and I was figuring out how I want to say this, because when you have the average person, and when I mean the average person, I'm talking about someone who doesn't have, who doesn't connect Bigfoot to anything spiritual, who kind of just thinks it's some animal that's out there. So you have those experiencers, and then it's when you put those stories aside to someone like yourself, or like a native that has like the deeper meaning, or an analogy for why they're being seen, and then what they mean, the outlook or perspective from that outlook is a lot deeper and more meaningful in trying to give reasons why this thing is here. Whereas someone, like I said, who is just doesn't have any spiritual connection with anything, is kind of just saying, hey, yeah, there's Bigfoot out there, I think it's an ape, or I think it's a lost lineage to human beings, they kind of broke off the human being line. So just thinking like that, but then also thinking of it with the whole spiritual meaning, just gives it more validation for like why it's here. Because you ask these people why it's here, they don't really have any answers. Just like, oh well, maybe it broke off the human line, or maybe it's just some sort of ape that we haven't discovered, with no other basis behind the reason why it's here. But then, like I said, when you get into the native perspective of it, there's anecdotes and analogies and other almost explanations why it is that we see these things. So that's why it's always good to get the native perspective, I think, and I've said this a million times, with anything that has to do with the phenomenon. So it's awesome to be able to get you to kind of connect those two today, for people out there who just look at Bigfoot on the surface and think it's just some sort of ape or some creature that's hiding from us in the forest. So with that being said, I mean, what other type of if you're trying to if you're trying to speak to the other side, the side that I'm talking about, the people who don't have any spiritual connection, who may not understand the deeper meaning of what you're trying to explain, like what would you what would you say to those people to kind of make them not really make them understand, but help them understand why Bigfoot is so significant when it comes to the Native American, of just the native aspect of just not just Bigfoot, but any of these other cryptids or creatures that they find in the forest?
Well, here's what I think, and actually kind of what I know. because a lot of the stories have been handed down generation from generation, from my grandparents and their parents and their grandparents. And we were always lived in nature, and nature was basically our education, and when we got tucked out of that area and put in institutions and taught all this English and stuff, it got us far away from what we lived with and lived through. And so it's really going to be hard for a person that don't got any kind of background to learn anything. It takes time.
Yeah.
And you got to be in that environment, to learn.
Yeah.
And so with me, it's my whole life. I've been doing these ceremonies and living, Dakota way of life,
Yeah.
And so that's the difference between me and, say, somebody else. And then also it's the belief system. Some of us, we believe in our old ways, our ceremonial ways, our spiritual ways. But then you got some that believe in the Christian ways that pretty much prohibits this kind of conversation,
Yeah.
or this kind of teachings or knowledge or sharings, or, and so of course those people are not going to believe nothing, and they're gonna think it is, hogwash, but I'm from a different background, and
I like that.
I just know that this is our reality, our reality.
Yeah, and
So,
I think it's the right reality. And that's awesome way for you to explain that too, because that's essentially what I've been saying. A lot of people who have followed me know that I'm totally big about anything that we experience in this society we call ourselves in, that we need to, if we're looking for answers to a lot of this stuff, I always say we should run it by, by native tribes, because there's already stories that have been passed on for generations and for thousands of years about everything it is that we're facing right now. So you pointing out the fact that the natives are connected to nature, and that's what this is all about. It's all about nature. All of these things that we're talking about could be natural things, truthfully, everything that we talk about within the phenomena. So the ones that are connected to nature would be obviously the experts in this field, I feel like, or at least the ones to give you the best perspective about what it is we're trying to figure out. And you painted it out perfectly, because there's a lot of these groups or people within society who go out and look for Sasquatch who don't really have explanations. But I always ask them whenever I interview someone like that, I ask them if they've run this by any of the natives. Like, have you connected? And I think truthfully with all the groups we have out there that aren't spiritually connected to anything, I think they should all tap into the native culture just to figure out, just to get some answers, right? And I know you're already there on the inside, so you already have that perspective of it. But when I'm talking to people who are not spiritually connected, I always say that same thing, like, maybe everything that we have, all the questions that we have about the phenomena, whether it's Bigfoot or anything across the line, we should run it by the natives, because there's always going to be, an analogy or something that a story or something that kind of explains why it is what it is, right? And I know, hopefully, people out there understand. I know you understand what I'm saying. Hopefully, other people out there get what I'm saying as well. But so that's interesting. So with that being said, let's pick one out the box. Have you had any other experiences outside of Bigfoot? I know you had,
Well,
and let's do this actually, because I know we last week we had spirit horses with Drew Banky, and I know from talking to you that you've had also a spirit horse encounter as well. So why don't you give us that? Why don't you talk to us about the spirit horse encounter? This will tie into the show that we did last week.
okay. There's actually two stories, but I'll share them both with you. The
Yeah.
first story is with my Aunt Marlene, and we lived on the south end of the reservation in a place called Hall Creek. And her and her boyfriend came home one night, and it was late at night, and it was in the wintertime, you know, so there was some snow around. And so they were sitting out in the car, and she said they heard something, and it sounded like horses running. So they turned around and looked, and these horses came running down our driveway, and they went into the barn, and you could hear them in there weaning and pawing on the ground and stuff and making noise. And then she said they ran back up to the road, and they continued on towards the east. And that's one experience. And so another experience was a friend of mine who's deceased, and his name was Tuffy. And he said he was coming back from Niobrara one night going to Santee, and Tuffy liked to drink beer, and he ran out of gas on the gravel road, and it was between Niobrara and Santee, and he didn't want to walk home because he was kind of feeling kind of crazy, So he said he was just going to sleep in his car. In the same thing, he said he heard these horses running down the gravel road and making noise and stuff. And he looked up, and he said they ran right by him, and they continued on down the road, So those are the two stories that I know of the spirit horses here on the Santee Reservation. But I was talking to one of our Vietnam veterans and telling him about these stories. And he said, Jim, he said, long time ago, he said, the government, they rounded up all our ponies, and he said they shot them, they killed them.
Wow.
That way we couldn't go hunt, or we couldn't escape, or we couldn't have war against them. We were on foot, And so that's why I believe they're always around us, around our tribe. Because here's the thing, in our reality, things follow us, or we follow them, But it has to do with the land where we live in, all the area, the belief, the people themselves. Now we got the ceremonies going full blast again. And so all these things are coming back to us, and we're starting to learn from them,
Yeah.
That's from our past. We're starting to learn from our past.
Yeah,
So we're trying to create a better future,
Yeah, Drew was on last week, and he was talking about his experience with spirit horses, and he said that they had there's an intersection in the town where he lives where apparently back a long time ago there was an incident where a car hit the horse and then killed the horses and kids that were being drawn by carriage. And so in that intersection, he said he was driving through it one night, and he saw the apparition of a spirit horse, and he kind of just drove right through it, and he kind of swished around like smoke. And then the part that I read in the beginning of the show for spirit horses talked about like the symbolism, and that you would see these during ceremonies, and that they were like guardians or protectors or like spiritual guidance, along those lines. How would you explain spirit horses to someone who doesn't understand what those are?
Well, I think in our case here, in our case, what it is, it's a part of our history and a part of who we are. And how do you say that word? That energy that always around, residual energy.
Could be
I think
residual.
that is, yeah. I think that's always going to be around us because we were so close to them. Owning a horse for us Dakota people. If you owned a horse, you were considered very wealthy back then.
Yeah.
It was a hard thing to acquire. So
Right. And
now people got horses here, and I think it's, in a way, it's their way of wealth and well-being.
and so it
And
sounds like you're
that's
also
what I do.
pointing out the personal connection as well, like just the connection between like a man and his horse, essentially, because if you look at it like horses were the method of travel for the last who knows how many hundreds of years, and within the tribes, obviously, you would have had horses, and I'm sure they meant a lot as far as their purpose, and just the things they were able the ways they were able to benefit um an individual or even just the tribe and as a whole. So it would, you could kind of see why there would be a deeper connection than just someone who owns a horse, right? But I find that most horse lovers also have that connection with their horses as well. So I guess that's another way to look at it. Someone who is really, into um raising horses and kind of someone who has a stable, for instance, these people really love or in love with their horses and on a deep level. And it kind of sounds like if you look at that, then you look at the spiritual connection that the natives have with horses, then I guess that's kind of an example of what, but you'd be able to tell me more than I'm just speculating at this point.
No, I think you're on exactly. But the horse to us was it was a workhorse. It did a lot for us. It took us hunting. It hauled our teepees. It hauled people. It hauled food. Um, we used them in battle. Uh, and actually, I always say the two Indian security alarms is a dog and a horse because they will let you know when something spiritual is coming around. The dog's either going to start barking and going crazy, or the horse is going to start weaning and jumping around. So I always call them our spiritual alarm systems,
Yeah.
And so they there's so much meaning to them, you know, and it's just a part of who we are.
That's interesting.
It's really a part of who we are.
So kind of taking that into like Bigfoot then, right? Because I'm assuming in a lot of those instances where the stories have been told, I'm sure the horse would have been present in a lot of those encounters. So I wonder, if there's ever, I'm sure they would be the alarm detector for something around you that may be harmful, like a Sasquatch or something along those lines. So I don't know if you can marry the two, if there's a specific situation where you can say where a horse has alerted you of some sort of danger that you had come across in the forest.
Well, I used to raise horses too. Okay, I used to have brood mares, and I raised colts, and I sold colts, and me and my ex-wife, we had this one horse. His name was Red. He was a big sorrow gilding, quarter horse. And one time we got in a fight with Argene, and she was going to leave, and poor guy, he was just going crazy because he didn't like hearing the arguing, and he was weaning and bucking around and running along the fence. And so to us, he he um he knew how his people felt, and he knew what we were going through.
Yeah.
And so that's why we have that respect for them, they're because they it's like they know us, and we know them too, and that's
Yeah.
why, in a lot of ceremonies, some medicine men, they use a horse altar, or they use parts of the horse in the ceremony, like the tail, or something like that. And because they're always going to help us, but at the same time we got to know how to ask for help from them, and we got to do it in an appropriate way, by the appropriate offerings and the songs and the ceremony and the prayer itself, So that's what I believe is actually the horse and this Bigfoot, sea tonka, they're always going to be around us. We're always going to know them, and they're always going to know us. And it don't matter what. To me, I don't care what scientist or whatever. They can go out and do all they want to do and record them and all this other stuff. But I think they're doing it for the wrong reasons. They're not doing it to make relative or make friendship. They're doing it to a way of saying, hey, I conquered this,
Mm.
And unfortunately, you're never going to conquer any kind of spirit or spirits,
Yeah.
That's just crazy to think that you can,
Wow.
That's what I truly believe.
I like that. Yeah, that's good stuff, Jim. And I think at the end of the day, just one of the most important things you said was how, just being in tune with nature, which is one of the reasons why, within the tribes, all this stuff is more understood. And I know when we had the interview last time over on Spaced Out Radio, I know you said something like, I asked you on, how people can essentially get back to nature or get back to their root, the root tribe that they may come from, just the belief system and the teachings, and just being able to get back to that. And I think you said something along the lines of having the mind state, or just adopting the mindset, right? And how again, I don't know if you're able to explain that right now, but I think it'd be perfect if you could explain how a person who is doing this and just doesn't know the spiritual connection, how can they root themselves or ground themselves and adopt this other way of thinking when it comes to the cryptid world and just the natural world, I guess.
Well, what I think is, spirituality isn't taught in schools or church or government or anything, but the natives, we still have it.
Yeah.
And if you want to learn more and you want to get more to your spiritual self, I think you truly got to go to the people that really have it. And then you will start to learn, because it's a process. It takes time. But you will see yourself grow and start to understand things and gain knowledge that you need to continue on, So I would say is go to the ceremonies.
Okay, I
Go
was
to the
gonna
nearest ceremonies.
ask you that, G.
You know,
I'm just gonna ask you that because I think there's some clarification for people who would like to do that, because I know, like, I would for sure. Like, I'm searching out my original tribes as well, and there was always a question on if someone from the outside would be welcome into ceremonies and things of that nature. Like, from your perspective, how would someone from the outside approach, who wants to do this? How would you suggest they approach maybe attending a ceremony, the right way?
Okay. Well, I'll just use for my example. Okay.
Yep.
First of all, just get hold of me and tell me what you're looking for. Tell me what you want to do. And of course, you'd have to come to my place, and we would have ceremony. We'd probably start out with sweat lodge first, and we'd do that several times to kind of like break you loose, get you more open. And then we would take you into a UEP ceremony, and that will really open your eyes, because that's when the spirits, they come in, and you will see stuff that you probably never seen before. You hear things, you smell things, you feel things, even movement, and so that's going to open you up a lot, and that's going to give you the ability to start to use your own intuition, or what we say, your gut feeling. When you feel something, you know it. You don't have to explain it to nobody, have nobody verify it, because your gut feeling, your intuition, is the validator for you.
Okay, so are you saying, and I would recommend, because I've heard as well that you personally are open to having people reach out to you to attend some of these things, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I work with all people, black, red, yellow, white. I don't push nobody out.
Good. Okay, so with that being said, because I've always, like, a person coming from the outside doesn't want to, I'm under the understanding that there are certain things within the tribes that are sacred and not really open to outsiders, right? So, and I think a lot of people are under that impression too. So to hear, that someone can just contact you, and that, go through the process that you would set up in order to kind of be brought in and have this experience, I think is very important for people to know. So people, you are definitely, if you want to kind of come in and kind of get in touch with what we all should really be in touch with, then definitely reach out to Jim for that, because I think it'd be awesome. I would want to do that too, Jim. So I would reach out to you as well. But I think that's when we talk about getting back to our tribes, right? If you don't have a tribe, or you're unable to reconnect with your tribe, Jim is open to kind of bringing you in for the experience, and so that you can kind of, get some sort of grounding, because I think we all need that. So I think that's awesome. Are you still there, Jim? Okay, we might have lost him, but I think that's pretty awesome for everybody to do as an option, right? And I don't know if he can do this. This is something you have to come in personally for, but just being able to reconnect with the nature side of this, so that you can better understand the experiences that you might be going through when it comes to the phenomena, whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's some other cryptid, whether it's aliens in general. What you'll find is that the natives have stories and analogies and things of that nature for all those things. And, at the end of the day, I think researchers should all be doing this. And I think for everything that they're doing, they should be taking their data set, embedding themselves with the tribe, and then kind of getting that whole other explanation for what it is that we're experiencing. But We may or may not get Jim back here. We'll see. But with that being said, yeah, that's kind of awesome to be able to get this today from the native perspective. Let me go ahead and jump in the chat and see who all is here. I know some of you came in afterwards. Rue Rider, DG, thanks for coming in. Lay Rouser, thank you for coming in. Saying perhaps maybe one of those things that come to you as spirits opens the opportunity of the experience, like the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears kind of thing. That sounds really good. And that might be what this is here, because Jim is totally open to allowing, us, any of us, to come in and have this experience. So this might be that time where the stars align and the doors open for something like that to take place. Let's see. Let me go back. So yeah, Lay Rouser, thanks for coming on in. J True Seeker as well, thanks for coming in. Magneticus, appreciate showing up. Urso Suprusov, being honored to be a part of that. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about here. Jessica S, thanks for coming in. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'd appreciate that. Let's see, Magneticus, appreciate you, man. And let's see here. Yeah, if you remember, Jim White is on a reservation at the Santee Dakota Nation, where the internet there is not great on the reservation. They have to go up on a hill called Facebook Hill in order to get internet access. So it is actually pretty awesome. He was even able to get on the screen with us tonight. Let's see, who else do we have here? Yep, Brown Dwarf. Let's see. Maggie M10. Won't be around much till November now. Special visitor is currently jet lagged. We'll be back beginning of November. Thanks, do much for the shows. Take care, all. We will see you, Maggie. We'll be just gearing up for you, getting ready for you to come back. I appreciate you keeping us informed and letting us know, because everybody be like, where's Maggie? And me too. I'll be like, where's Maggie? So appreciate you letting us know. Have fun and take care, and we will see you soon. Super Crazy Movie Geek, horses, emojis, Bim Jim, listen to the Native Knowledge Keepers. Just listen, don't interrupt. I think that did it for me face to face. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like. That's what I want to do as well. Because it'd be nice to be able to run everything that we know, or everything we think we know, across and get the native perspective of what that means, what those things might mean. So I think that's something that's pretty awesome to consider or think about. And Joanne, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you showing on up here. Let's see, who else do we have? Scott Rosen. Hey, Scott Rosen, thanks for coming on in. Thanks for showing up tonight. Tim James, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you showing on up here. Let's see. Holly Rotterman, thanks for coming on in. Kurt M, thanks for showing up here tonight. And let's see, looking good here. Yeah, okay. So with that being said, so we may not be getting Jim back, but thank you, Jim, for coming in, because we did make it to the end of the show, and I think you got a lot of awesome jewels and gems dropped on the audience here tonight. So what we'll do is go ahead and get ready to wrap this show up here. What I want to do here also is show that we have this show on this channel. For anyone who might be new here, we have the Social DIGG show, which, if you can hop in our archives, we have some episodes here. We actually have a full season 1 that we've done already. We're in season 2, and the next show should be about Scientology. So the next Social DIGG show should be about Scientology, right? On Wednesday, October the 2nd, 5 p.m. Pacific. Then we have the show you're watching now, which is My Experience with the Phenomena, which is Fridays at 5 p.m. Then Saturday nights, we have the late night call-in show which is Saturdays at 11:30 p.m. Pacific. And I want to make sure that we get to thank Jim here, so we were able to get him back. Jim, just want to make sure that we got to tell you thank you tonight. Everyone has enjoyed your information for the night. And if you have anything that you want to go ahead and leave the audience with before we wrap it up.
I want to apologize. My phone went dead, so I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I told him. You're all good to go.
Okay. But no, anybody's welcome. If they want to come and learn, and I call my place the Blue Spider Ranch because that's my main helper is the Blue Spider, spiritual helper, and so it's a place where we ceremony a lot, and I open people up spiritually and help them get on their way to learning more and understanding more, and so that's what I would say, that's what I just want to open it up,
That is key. That is key. Everyone appreciates that too, Jim. And like I said, we were talking while you were getting ready to come back, and just saying that, yeah, this might be one of those times where things were set up for people to be brought in for something like this. And I think most people here would sign up for something like that, to have the opportunity, you know what I mean, to be able to come on in and just have that experience. Because like I said, as you said earlier in the show, it's about, the natives being connected to nature and understanding nature. Just understanding nature as a whole is one of those key things. So hopefully you guys go ahead and sign up. You can find you on Facebook, right? Is where they can contact you. What's this place?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, James White.
Okay, James White. Let me see here. Let's see if I can get your tag posted in the chat here, or at least on this description of this video. Let me see. Yeah, that's what I'll do. After the show, I'll be able to go in the description and put the link to your page. So you guys take advantage of something like this. Jim has an open door for these experiences to take place. Going to some of these ceremonies that we just hear about, right? That'd be awesome to be able to do that, and just to understand us as human beings on more of a deeper level, so that when you do go into those encounters in your future, you have a different understanding or a different way to look at things, a whole different perspective. So with that being said, Jim, I appreciate you coming in for this show. We're gonna link up. There's other shows and things that we're going to do together. So I will be getting with you pretty soon here about that. We'll keep in touch on social media. And yeah, outside of that, Jim, I appreciate you. You have a good rest of your night, and I'm gonna wrap the show up.
Thank you, Rob. And we'll see you later.
Yep. Talk soon. All right, Jim. Right. Yeah. So once again, Jim White got him to come back and kind of close it out. So I'd take advantage of that if I was you guys. Why not? Right. Reach out to Jim, and I'll put the link in the description of the video today, because there's how many times would you have an open invitation like that where you can be brought in to some of these ceremonies and kind of have that experience? I don't think it's every day that happens. Right. So take advantage of that, guys. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead, and I was telling you about the shows that we have here. So let me just run through those again. Once again, Social Dig on Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Pacific. My Experience with the Phenomena, Fridays, 5 p.m. Pacific. Late Night Call-In Show, which will be tomorrow, right after the after hours. You can come here. You can get on stage and talk about experience. We had a great conversation last week. Brown Dwarf, Maggie M10 came on stage. Jim came in as well and had a conversation. So it was awesome. I'd love to hear from other people out there as well. So think about tuning in. Think about coming on stage and just sharing some experiences as well. If you want to come on this show and talk about your experience with the phenomena, I would appreciate that. You can reach out to me on Facebook. I have something posted in the community tab on this page. You can respond there. Either way. And also, I want to go ahead and talk about again. Memberships are available for this channel. Become a social soldier today. Once again, this is not something that is required for you to do. You will have full access to content regardless, either way you go. But memberships, super chats, things of that nature are things that will be able to help this channel grow on the production end so that we can go ahead and make sure that we have the best possible shows. I think the quality is good now, but just imagine what it could be with some support out there, right? Where the things that we could do, the places we could go. So keep that in mind. And one other way that you can help support this channel is by visiting the social shop. Going to get yourself a hoodie. That hoodie is clean right there, right? My experience with the phenomena. Then it has a Social Dig logo on the back. We have a lot of stuff that we're putting in the stores there. So keep an eye on that. You should be able to find this stuff at the shop tag on the YouTube page. And by clicking one of those items will take you into the actual store where you'll see all the other things that we have there. And I have a humanity t-shirt. It's going to be a special edition, one t-shirt under the humanity label. And I'm going to have those posted up on the shop, hopefully by the next time we see each other here on this channel. Let's see, what else do I have for you? Yes, why we do this. We do this for the positive progression of humanity. Everything that we do on this channel, anything that happens here on this channel is done in mind of progressing humanity forward in a positive direction, right? So any ideas that you may have for how we could do that, definitely you can call that number, and I'll bring that up on the screen as well. That number is 856-843-3444, or that's 856-THE-DIGG. This is where you can leave requests. Just call to say hi. This is the number you'd use for the call-in show on Saturdays. Also, you'll end up having a link to come on stage yourself if you would like to do that. With that being said, definitely want to thank everybody for coming on out. Sarah Yan, Magneticus Attractors, Jessica S. I think I saw Miss Catherine come in too. Hey, Miss Catherine, thanks for coming in. I also saw Susan Alloway. Susan Alloway, thank you so much for coming on in and saying great show. I appreciate it. We are getting this show together as well as others. And like I said, we just want to make sure that it's enjoyable for you and that we're bringing what you need. Any suggestions or anything like that, like I said, leave at this number right here. And at some point down the line, doesn't have to be today, but consider being a member. Consider being a member. Consider going in by super chat or just supporting in the swag store, because like I said, all this stuff is going to make this channel better, to raise the bar. I want to be putting out, Y-Files level quality content by the time we're done with this here. So you guys, appreciate you coming on the ride with me tonight, in period, since the beginning. Thanks for coming on in. As Joanne says, show your appreciation, folks, and please hit that like button, because it makes the algorithm do this, right? And then people get to see it, and then they get to come in and enjoy content as well. Otherwise, I'll see you at the after hours tomorrow night, and then follow me right back over here for the live call-in show. My name is Mr. Rob G. This is my experience with the phenomena. I would appreciate hearing your experience with the phenomena. Don't hesitate at reaching out so we can go ahead and set something up. Outside of that, have a great rest of your night, guys. Take care.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see. Whoa, it's taking over, damn no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over all their shoulders, like moving boulders just to get out of the home. It sucks, I've had enough, I don't wanna feel feel the stuck under the rug, all my problems that I shove.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.